here we go. I got something to say.
Oh, Andy, how are you?
I'm doing better than you.
My voice is going. I had a cold early in the week. I went to a NASCAR event on Sunday and yelled. And
okay, so Todd's a little hoarse. This might be one of the few nights where he doesn't talk all that much.
I know. I shouldn't.
This is actually like my Christmas day. Like this is great. Todd is not. I mean, he's here. I can look at him. I can say things, but
I can't really talk much.
He's losing his voice. So yeah. So thank God we have a guest on tonight.
That's true.
Which I think you guys are going to enjoy. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Kate from Keeper's Heart.
And B, Todd's struggling a little bit. So
yeah, I am. I'm getting over cold.
We'll get him through this one tonight.
I went to NASCAR, which I tell you right now, if one of some of our Patreon members saw the post I put, our whole family went. I'll tell you what, that is a spectacle, man. If you've never gone to a NASCAR event, you got to go. Even if you're not a big fan of NASCAR, just seeing those cars go 170 miles an hour.
I always wanted to go. I think
there's 55,000 people there screaming their heads off. And we didn't see a ton of big wrecks, but you see that. And then it's super loud. It is so loud. It's louder than concerts. I think I had to wear headphones.
That's all. Well, I'm laughing at that, but that's okay.
I'm telling you, it was so loud.
So it's funny. So you're in NASCAR land this weekend in Dover.
Yeah.
I was in the Dakotas and went and spent a night in Winnipeg.
That's right.
What's some crazy traveling for us? So, yeah, this is actually from the Jets store at the stadium.
Yeah.
They are playing tonight, which is going to be sad, but could be their swan song because they came out full blast. They won 7-6 and they've dropped 3 in a row. But
Thank you,
yeah, so my heart's in Winnipeg tonight, hoping that we can pull off a victory. Right. I got this at the store, which was fun. And I'm going to post on Patreon a little bit about the trip and all that stuff, which will be fun.
We'd like to hear about
so that'll
Andy's
be
travels.
That should be up.
Maybe that's
tomorrow.
a new feature. Andy's travels.
Traveling with Andy. Yeah, look. Andy. Hey, I mean,
what do you think?
So a couple quick stories, and we're going to bring our real fast. Then we'll bring Kate up. So I was in South Dakota, then went to North Dakota.
For work, like you're the only person I know that ever
had work in both Dakotas. Halfway between where my appointment was and South Dakota, where I was in Sioux Falls, was Fargo, North Dakota. So I get to Fargo around 11:30 at night. I'm tired. I go to the front desk and I said to the guy, I said, checking in. He takes a look at my license. He says, "Are we by chance?" He said, "Have you stayed here before?" I was like, "This is my first time in North Dakota, man."
No, I have not.
He said, "Is this your 50th state?"
They get that a lot, I assume.
And like, they must. And I said, "I'm close, but no, it's not my 50th. I still have a couple more to go."
Cheers, buddy.
He said, "That's a shame because I would have sent you right down to the Welcome Center. If it's your 50th state, they give you a T-shirt that says "Save the best for last, North Dakota." How funny is that? So it was cool.
That's pretty funny. I wonder I guess Alaska probably gets that a lot too.
They might.
Hawaii.
But then I went to the next night. I went to Winnipeg when I checked in. I'll talk about it later. We can talk about it.
Let's get Kate on.
But the funniest thing was when I got there and showed up my license, the guy goes, "Maryland, eh?" I was like, he goes, "You're a long way from home." I said, "Well, I am."
You are.
You here for business? I said, "No, it's my first time in Canada." I said, I drove up here to watch an away game in Winnipeg. He goes,
"What?
You're that big a Jets fan?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Your parking is comped. Your breakfast is on us. Welcome to Winnipeg." I was like, "How cool is that?" Yeah, I was like, "That much fun was that?" So yeah,
I like the people.
Jets are on tonight. So yeah, kind of crazy. Anyway, so we're gonna go from NASCAR to Canada. Let's do some Irish whiskey, shall we?
Why not?
Why not just go full circle? And I flew out of this glorious airport in Minnesota, where Kate is joining us from today. But so from Keeper's Heart Whiskey, I'm excited to have them on. Their stuff is good. But we'll let Kate tell you all about it. So, Kate Douglas, welcome to the show.
Welcome,
hey,
Kate. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, especially after that story about the Jets in Winnipeg.
I mean,
fantastic.
Right? I mean,
I know you guys are Wild fans out there, so we may not like Winnipeg as much as I do, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
So
yeah, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, so I got that for years of just like, I'm so sorry.
My second favorite player of all time is Dan Marino. So there we go.
How did you become a Miami Dolphins fan in Minnesota? Is my question.
Well, I'm originally from New Mexico, and we don't have any teams really.
Right,
And
got
in the
it.
late, you know, late 80s, early 90s, my family kind of started watching the Dolphins, and it was a big time for us. And we kind of, we kind of just stuck with it. So I got to go to my first home game in January, which was amazing with my family.
That's what I'm saying. In Minnesota, I'm sure you got to find out one home game in Miami to go to get out of that cold in Minnesota, get to a warm weather Miami home game.
It's just cool to be in a place with like-minded fans.
Because
you're in Minnesota, the Vikings all over. To go, that's what I went into this bar, and there's just Winnipeg gear all over the place. I'm like, I don't look like an outcast here. Like, people don't look at me like, what are you wearing? Gestures. I was like, they're like, hey, how about a beer? I was like, awesome. We're all friends. Like, it's probably
wasn't really a great beer.
It wasn't. The beer wasn't great, but it's okay. I mean, I let it go since I was. But yeah, so that's
probably
awesome.
Not great whiskey either, though.
But I flew out of Minneapolis. What a nice airport. It's one of the nicest airports I've been in. Really nice.
I think it's the #1 airport in the country this past year or something.
Really? It's really nice. Wow. I mean, you don't leave airports and be like, oh, this is nice. But I mean,
I've only flown through Minneapolis coming back from Hawaii. Yep. Yeah.
Really, really nice. So already you can tell, Kate, what a random channel we are.
Yes, pretty much.
So that we're all over the place.
Well, let's give it, Kate, we started this channel as a homebrewing channel. So we're homebrewers by trade. Like 7 or 8 years ago, we were like, let's make videos on homebrew. And you do that for so often, you're like, well, you can only do the same thing over and over again, record it, right? So then we like, let's review beer. And so we liked beer so much, but we love these barrel-aged beers. And they said, well, why do we love these barrel-aged beers? And he's like, well, I'm going to drink the whiskey that is making all this great stuff. I'm like, no way, I'm never doing it. And a slippery slope many years later.
He's on the train.
Now we're also, our channel is pretty much all whiskey channel now. So that's the crazy thing
whiskey,
here.
Beer, rock and roll. We do it all.
We do it all.
Yeah.
I like to have fun.
I mean, beer is such a great starting point for whiskey. I mean, I did stalk you all a little bit and look back and see all your brewing stuff, your beer reviews and home brewing.
That's why we thought she was going to no-show. She's like, I saw some of your older videos. They're really bad.
Yeah.
No, I mean, beer is a great stepping stone to whiskey. That's how I got into the industry. So I get it. I get it.
You know, Kate, one of the things we heard when we do a lot of these, we bring on distillery. I think it was it Brian Tracy from Sagamore who said a lot of his distillers started out as home brewers or brewers and made the jump over to, distilling, because the process is the same up until you start distilling, right? I mean, you're mashing is the same thing. And that's the interesting part about it. So anyway, let's get back to Keeper's Heart here.
So, well, let's do that. Kate, we're gonna throw the spotlight on you for a second. For those who may not know who Keeper's Heart is, just give us the elevator speech, and then we'll just dive into some fun stuff. Yeah. We'll talk about the whiskey. We'll go off topic a little bit. We'll have fun. But yeah, this should be fun. But for those who don't know who Kate Douglas from Keeper's Heart is, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, I got my start in whiskey at Old Elk Distillery back in Colorado. Started with beer. That's what my degree is in. I'm a fermentation science and technology major.
That's great.
So yeah, I mean, I was brewing on campus, brewing at Odell in New Belgium and a bunch of little places in Fort Collins. And then I found distilling, and I fell in love with the fact that I could take what I was learning one step further with distillation. And the O'Shaughnessy's are fantastic people, and they were at a family reunion and wanted to drink whiskey with their cousins, and they all got a little tipsy, and next thing they know, some of them are saying we should start a distillery, a place where our family could meet and we could invite other people to and have our own whiskey. And the O'Shaughnessy's, if you didn't notice, are a very Irish American family. Yeah. And so they really wanted to bring in an Irish distiller, and connected with Brian Nation, who was formerly of Jameson, Redbreast, Middleton Very Rare. And he decided to come over to live in Minnesota, of all places. And so now we really are Irishizing American whiskey and Americanizing Irish whiskey with our Keeper's Heart.
That's great.
Yeah, it's funny. So for those who are in the know, if you go on to Keeper's Heart website, it's like reading a who's who list. Like it was impressive. You see Nation coming over with some of the biggest names in Irish whiskey from Ireland. You got to train under the tutelage of Greg Metz. We know Greg. Greg is an amazing guy, and he's been on a couple times.
Yes.
Just like an OG in the whiskey world, just a cool guy. So I'm looking like, wow. Even if you don't know who Keeper's Heart is, you know that they know what they're doing, and it makes you want to dive in more. Then you see some of the accolades you guys are starting to get, some of the medals that you guys are winning. I'm excited for not just what you're doing now, but the future of Keeper's Heart. It sounds like some amazing things going on.
Well, let me put this out to our chat real quick. Have you ever had, I know Marty, you were on Marty's channel, Whiskey Knows. He's a good friend of ours a couple of weeks ago. So I know some funny guy, right?
Oh no, I like we love
no, he's been really raving about especially this cast strength. But have you had in the chat, let us know if you ever had any of their offerings. I mean, we have 3 tonight, but anything they've put out. And if you've not, let's hopefully change your mind to get some tonight.
You know some whiskey. You're strong.
I know, man. I'm sorry. You keep talking. Go ahead.
No, this is Kate. You have no This is the one night that Todd's not going to talk all night.
It's killing me.
You're going to enjoy it. This is going to be a fun stream for all of us. Trust me, this is going to be great.
Perfect.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and Four Leaf Whiskey is here. By the way, I mean, Kate, you've got to go on her channel because she is like the Irish queen
of Irish whiskey.
That is what I heard from Marty.
So I will get I'll send Stacy's info to our contact who helped us get together, and she'll set that up. Stacy, you gotta get on because she will really have a great stream with you.
Oh, she's fantastic too, and just a lovely person.
Stacey's awesome.
You'll love talking to her. She's fantastic.
My question, real quick for you, Kate, is you mentioned the leap from a brewing to distill. How difficult is that? When you're brewing beer, and we homebrew, we understand that concept on a much smaller scale, but how difficult was that for you moving from brewing where when you're done with the mash and you're fermenting in a closed system, right? Not open air, you're kind of done, right? You're waiting for it to ferment out, the terminal gravity, you rack it, carbonate it, you're done. Whereas here now you're distilling, you're aging, all the. How hard was that to learn? Was it easy? How did you learn about all that? Where was that process?
I mean, it was a very natural progression.
Okay.
I mean, because like you said, the brewing step of it is very, very similar. We just don't add hops in the whiskey world. Honestly, you get to kind of leave a lot of the cleaning behind when you switch over to distilling. Beer, you have to be very clean and antiseptic and purge everything and spray everything with sanitizer. And when I first got started, Chris, who I work with again here, he always likes to play jokes, and he still does this to our distillers when they come over from the brewing world, is drop something on the floor and be like, well, did you sanitize it? Did you CIP and SIP? And just gives you like a blank, like everything goes black. You're like, shit, I forgot. Oh my gosh. And then he's just like, psych, you have to do it in distilling. So in that aspect, it's at least you know something that's you're comfortable with when you first get into distilling, and then it's really cool to see how things change from basically a finished beer, an uncarbonated beer, and then you distill that a few times, and you're just concentrating all of those flavors and aromas and congeners that you created during fermentation. And then you get into maturation, where that turns into just magic of wood and a barrel, and then blending, and it's such an incredible process and so fascinating that a lot of people are making the switch. I mean, we pulled almost all of our distillers from breweries around Minneapolis.
I can see that. Yeah.
Hey, you guys not just so you guys pull a who's who. I mean,
no doubt about it.
So how does one lure a Brian Nation from Ireland to come over? What kind of what kind of speech about the Vikings and the Twins we have to pull to get him to come all the way over to Minneapolis? I mean, that's impressive.
It is, and when the O'Shaughnessy's first reached out to Brian, before they even reached out to Brian, they were told, you're never going to get an Irish distiller to move.
Right.
It's not going to happen. you know, Irish whiskey is making a really big comeback right now. No one's going to leave to go to freaking Minnesota of all places.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of what Brian told Patrick O'Shaughnessy. Patrick literally just messaged him on LinkedIn, kind of just a cold call, and, you know, gave him a real brief overview of what they were planning on, and, you know, would love to ask Brian a few questions. So Brian was like, you know, I'm really happy where I'm at, you know, master distiller at Irish Distillers, making lots of incredible whiskey. And then he was like, but, you know, if you're ever over in Ireland, I'll have a conversation with you. And so Patrick was like, great, we'll be there in 3 days. So they bought plane tickets and flew over to Ireland and invited Brian and his wife, Una, to dinner. And Una was never really invited to work-related things. So right off the bat, off to a good start. And that dinner turned into, you know, a 5-hour discussion about life and family and travels and passions, and not really about whiskey or careers. And Brian and Una got in their car, and Brian asked Una, like, what do you think? And she said, if we didn't have the 3 kids, I'd say we should be on a plane tomorrow.
Wow.
And so that kind of put Brian into a little bit of a, you know, crisis mode of, oh shit, should I, like, am I actually going to be leaving? I'm in a pretty good position here. But they ultimately decided that it was the right decision to move.
I mean, I think that's amazing, because you see people like this taking chances all the time. I mean, Greg did the same thing. He left MGP to come to Old Elk. You see these opportunities that arise, and you roll the dice, but you know, sometimes you land in a good situation with good people, and then the product usually takes care of itself. And I think that's what I'm finding here. Like this has been pretty good. So
let's talk about the product.
Yeah, before we do that, what was Brian's last distillery before he came over? Was he Jameson? Was he Redbreast? Where was he before you guys lured him away?
So Irish Distillers in Middleton, they produce Jameson, Redbreast, Middleton Very Rare, Powers, Spot Whiskeys, and a couple others.
Okay.
So I mean, that was his gig.
Wow. I mean, that's a big responsibility, a big job to come. That's pretty cool. So,
well,
and did you tell him how cold Minneapolis was in the winter?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they managed to come over, and it was a really nice weekend, and so they thought it was going to be fine. But let me tell you, Brian does not like the cold. He made sure that first winter, that everyone had, you know, keeper's heart jackets, because at the time we were dumping spent grain into a trailer, so we were constantly getting blown with wind. And he's like, nope, we're not doing that. We're getting jackets.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So he is always bundled up.
Stacy's got Brian's last Middleton Very Rare.
That's very clear.
Stacy,
stash. So let's go through the offerings. Tell us a little bit about the core.
Let me ask you. So let's talk
your
about.
Voice was gone.
Well, Keeper's Heart though. We're talking about. So here's the thing. I'll be completely honest, Kate. I'm not a huge Irish whiskey drinker. It's not that I'm not a fan. I haven't really exposed, other than like Colonial Guilty, which we had them on, and I really like that.
Yeah.
It's ignorance on my part. So like I don't know. And most of we have a lot of viewers that are whiskey fans, right?
And he's Irish, by the way.
And I'm Irish, by the way, right? So go figure. But my question to you is the whole Keeper's Heart and the blending of Irish and American or bourbon whiskey. Where did that come from before we get into this? And is that how it's going? So that's, first of all, where did that come from? And that hasn't been done before, I don't think, in any place or any other places that I know of. Maybe I'm missing something.
So it did happen. Jameson did it back in, I think, the 20s.
Okay.
Trying to, or I guess it would have been the 30s, trying to kind of like revamp after Prohibition.
Okay.
And so we actually have an empty bottle of it at the distillery, but they were kind of utilizing some Irish and American blending, and it really didn't catch at all. And so it really stopped being done. And, you know, the O'Shaughnessy's really wanted to blend the heritage of Irish and American kind of through whiskey. And Brian was on board with that. I mean, Brian has a ton of experience with blending with all of his Middleton Very Rares and, you know, special releases that he did previously in his career. And so, you know, he was kind of tasked with blending the two together. He didn't have any constraints over if it was single malt, if it was pot still, if it was grain, if it was bourbon, rye, what mash bill, did not matter. And so it took a while to get to, you know, the core Irish plus American. And mind you, this was during COVID. I think Brian announced that he was leaving in 2020. So like right in COVID. It may have even been 2019. So right before COVID. Because they broke ground on the distillery St. Paddy's Day of 2020. And so Brian couldn't come over from Ireland. No one could go over to see him. So lots of whiskey was just getting kind of shipped back and forth in the form of birthday presents or olive oil. And Brian, you know, thought that the rye whiskey blended really well with the pot still spice and earthiness. He hadn't found a bourbon that he quite liked yet. And so the Irish plus American, which is a blend of 4-year Irish grain whiskey, 4-year Irish pot still whiskey, and 4-year American rye was born.
Wow. Very amazing. Nice. So my question, are you going for, in this sort of blend, are you going for the American sort of whiskey drinker to expose the Irish? Or are you trying to do the Irish to expose them to the American bourbon or whiskey, or everyone who's drinking both? Is that, yeah, I understand the question there. Who's the market?
Yeah, so ultimately everyone.
Right.
You know, Brian wanted to make sure it was very versatile. So the rye whiskey allows it to be to hold up really well in a cocktail.
Oh yeah.
The Irish plus American, this one really, I mean, it is mostly Irish whiskey. And it really, you know, I would say the pot still whiskey is like the base flavor. The rye is the supporting flavor. And then the Irish grain is like a nice little nuance. Really helps bind everything together, blend everything together really nicely. So it does serve a very like as a nice middle ground for, you know, the American drinkers that don't know a lot about Irish, as well as kind of pulling in those, whereas the Irish bourbon is geared more towards those bourbon drinkers. So it depends on the product.
I love this.
So yeah, you right away you did.
I instantly, because I had a bunch of Jameson Redbreasts, and you know, I'm not huge into it, but I enjoy it. Clonakilty became one of my favorites once we started drinking it, working with them, and they were really good. So this was kind of fun to kind of pick and start going through. And I think the flavor profiles are really versatile enough that it is going to appeal to both sides of the fence. You hear people talk about this with rye whiskey all the time too. Like, how do you get the bourbon drinker?
Is it 95.5 rye? Is that what it is? That rye? Can we say that?
For the rye, yes. Okay. And to answer Anthony's question, the pot still is 50% malted barley, 50% unmalted barley.
There you go.
But I think this appeals to, I think this is exactly what the target audience is. This is going to appeal to both. Because it's dangerously easy to drink.
So
the flavor profiles, you're excited for being hoarse. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I'm I'm echoing what you're saying. I think this is a great summer whiskey as well at the lower proof. I'm not just saying because it's lower proof, but I think it lends to, you know, I was drinking this over the weekend, just trying to get like my head around all three of them, wanted to get familiar with it. I think it's got some light spices from that rye, right? It's there, and it's that sort of light fruit, light cereal grains on the nose, but I get vanilla and honey also on the palate, which I absolutely love.
Get some apples, some citrus notes on there.
But the baking spices come through at the back, so you can, that rye spice, it really complements that pot still. I'll be quiet. So good.
You're not going to be quiet for long.
No,
but,
no. I mean, that was a very good description of it, because, you know, that honey flavor, I get like honeysuckle off of it, and that's coming from the Irish green whiskey. because it's distilled to a high proof. It's going into used bourbon barrels, so it's very light and crisp and delicate, and those honey and vanilla really comes forward.
Yeah.
And then the Irish pot stills, a little earthy, hints of spice, kind of stewed apple and pear.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Warms you in the chest.
Andy, that's like the third one of that. We got two other ones to get to, brother.
I realize that, which is kind of ironic because this is 83. What is this? I mean, that's 86 proof.
86 proof.
This drink's bigger than 86 proof. There is
viscosity and even the finish on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really thin, watered down, under 90 proof whiskeys, not just Irish whiskey, like across the board. And that's what bourbon drinkers. Bourbon drinkers can be really finicky on low proofs. They can, it's like everything's got bigger's got to be better, and that's the way.
That's true.
And I think Irish whiskey kind of debunks that, because sometimes a lower proof actually accentuates the Irish whiskey so much better than even the cask strength. Like, I enjoyed the cask strength, but these two offerings were just out of this world good. And so, like, I would encourage people to go out and try some lower proofs. It's a lower price too, which is kind of nice too, because you pay for that big old proof. But this is done well. And again, you look at who's doing it. You're under the tutelage of Greg Metz. You've got Brian Nation, who's coming over from Ireland. You've got people who know what they're doing in the ball game. Kate's been working in Old Elk. Like, you guys know your stuff, so trust it. Go try a bottle. This is good. I love.
Question: You're sourcing. I mean, are we getting to the point where you're going to be making your own rye? How is this going to work moving forward? Are you guys going to be distilling your own juice, aging it? How's that going to work for the American?
So the product that's coming, in the Irish plus American bottles, that is probably always going to be sourced.
Okay.
Given I can't always say that it's going to be that way, because we do have a really nice, 18-inch column, or 14-inch column. And so we can produce our own. But ultimately at the distillery in Minneapolis, which is a great place to visit. So come see us, Anthony, and everyone else.
Me too.
Okay.
But so, we have the ability to do it, but there we're really focusing on, making more American mash bills, but on the triple pot system. So like we've done 100% rye triple pot distilled. We've done the classic, 50% malted barley, 50% unmalted barley mash bill. We've done a triple distilled bourbon. We just did a small campaign of triple distilled wheated bourbon, wheat whiskey, and right now we're doing some single malt, all triple distilled.
So I go out there to taste some stuff, because it sounds like
so. Those special runs, I assume you find them on your website. Like Christopher David, he's in PA. He just looked at your website that you guys ship to PA. He's ordering something now. Like, is that where? So Keeper's Heart, I think, is in most. Where's your distribution? We probably should have talked about that.
We are in about 23 states, I believe.
Okay.
Our furthest northeast, I believe, is Connecticut. Then our furthest south is going to be Florida. Our furthest west, I think, is Nevada.
Okay.
But if you go to the shop.keepersheartwhiskey.com, you can get it shipped to at least most places.
There you go.
There are some caveats, of course, but we do what we can to get you the whiskey.
So, for layman's terms, because Todd'll spitball science geeky stuff with you on brewing stuff all day long.
True,
but for layman's terms, the triple distillation is great at kind of like getting rid of some of those tannins and things like that that bourbon drinkers are used to, but it works so well in Irish whiskeys. Tell us why that triple distillation. Tell us what it is, and why it's so important in the world of Irish whiskey.
Yeah. So it can get kind of confusing, so I will try and keep it very simple. So basically we take our wash and we'll put it into one still. These bottles were made to kind of look like a still almost. So we'll say that's still number one. That's the wash still. That is basically going to do a hard and fast distillation, separating your grain from your alcohol, separating your alcohol from your water, your yeast, your grain, and really just hard and fast that distillate tends to be oily. It's not something that you really want to drink. And that can be done on a regular, whiskey system. That's going to be the first step of any distillation. Where things differ is kind of in the second and third distillation. So your classic distillation, your second one is going to be your finishing run, your spirit run. That's where you're going to collect, the heart of the distillate, which is going to go into your barrel. For us, we start to separate it at this point into strong faints and weak faints. Weak faints get recycled back in here, and strong faints move to the spirit still.
Wow.
Then there's a distillation here, and you have your hearts, which will get collected, go into a barrel. And then this basically becomes a faints distillation, and you'll collect some strong faints and some weak faints. So there's a lot of recycling with triple pot distillation.
Yeah.
And so it can get very confusing, but it also gives you a very consistent flavor profile because you're constantly recycling things. It's very consistent. It's more time consuming than your other options, and Stacey, I think you said that not all Irish whiskey is triple distilled. Totally true. If you see pot still whiskey, like Irish pot still, that will be triple distilled. Other Irish whiskeys can be double distilled, column distilled. But where that differs from most American whiskey, like most bourbons, is there you basically have a column where it does the first 2 stills worth of work, and then a doubler or a finishing still. And what comes off of here, which is basically the first 2 pot stills, right? Will go into the finishing still, and then you get your hearts out. So the column distillation is much more efficient. But the shape of a still will totally change your flavor profile, your mouth feel. I once had it described to me as a pot still is like going to get a beer at, between the first and second quarter instead of at halftime. You can go right through, you can grab your beer, you can stop by the merch store, grab some other stuff. You're going to get through, right? The column distillation is more like going at halftime, where you have to fight your way to get a beer, and you might not get a beer or a hot dog before kickoff. So it's harder to get. It's going to be a cleaner product. You're not going to have as many oils coming over, so the mouthfeel is going to change. It's going to hit you more in the back of your mouth rather than in your chest.
That, I'm going to say, is an awesome description. That was, so you can tell you went to
no doubt about it.
That's really
here's
good.
the thing.
That's
all
awesome.
that I think that what is this 86 proof is MSRP $35, I think, or 30. It's such a. I mean, and somebody just mentioned they saw the cash strength on sale at some Binnies for 40. But I mean,
dude, that's a steal.
That's a win, honestly.
That's a win for the wallet, a win for the palate. That's just really good.
So I love the price point, especially on this 86 proof, because it's it's not going to scare people off. And I think at $30 or $35.
Well, and you know what? Let me say this. I just want to put this caveat out there. Sometimes, because let's be real, okay, this is true. It's probably like this with Scotch. It's like this Irish whiskey, Japanese, whatever. It's like that here in America. Sometimes whiskey snobs will look at price and say, "No, it's not good."
Can't be good.
Because if it's only $30, it's not good enough.
Can't be good.
There are still distilleries out there putting out good juice that is not charging you way too much. This is a prime example of something that's really, really good. That's worth the price point. I mean, because sometimes, look, you're like, oh, it's $250 bottle of bourbon. That's got to be great. Well, not necessarily. Like that's the whole point. Right. So good whiskey is good whiskey. This would do well blind. This is good.
Real quick question. He wants to head up to Minneapolis this summer. And is there an event that Keeper's Heart does during the summer that would be a cool experience? Do you guys do anything at this time, or just check the website?
I don't know if we have. Yeah. So typically on Saturdays we'll have either a cocktail class, a blending class, or a sensory class. All of
Okay.
those are really cool experiences. So if you like to get really nerdy, I would recommend the blending class. You do a tour of the distillery, and then you get to sit down with the Irish grain whiskey, the Irish pot still whiskey, the American rye, and have your own turn at blending and see kind of where things can go wrong. Maybe if you really like rye, you bump up your rye concentration. Try it with just grain and rye. You never know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Dave Vogel saying, I don't know where, Dave, you're located, but your local Binny's has Keeper's Heart Irish and bourbon. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, for $45.
That's great. The blending class does sound cool. And you can also order online a personalized label, can you not? So if you can go online and you order a bottle, you can get a personalized label, which is pretty cool. You just type that in, you get that, which also is really kind of fun. Show that off in your bar. And the juice within is very good.
And I remember
it's
William
great
Hall.
for Mother's Day and Father's Day, which are both coming up.
There you go.
Todd, you can get me a gift for Father's Day.
What are you going to get me? Anyway, real quick, William Hall, you're right. We do an advent calendar with our patrons where we all, buy a bottle, split it in 24, and you get you get 24 different samples for Advent. And William Hall put your, and he just moved it, but that's great. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot for that.
Go back up and find it.
Way to go there. It was the Keeper's Heart store pick finished in stout barrels, which I absolutely love. And I remember that. Thanks so much, Andy. But let's move on to the second one before I lose all my.
Wait. Now, settle down.
Are you going to ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm ready to drink.
Have you ever watched Beavis and Butthead before? Have you seen that before? Have you the cartoon? He's the excitable one. He gets really excited.
That means you're a butthead.
It might, but he's the excitable. Here, pour me a little bit of that.
My 8th grade freshman.
Oh no.
One of my English teachers in high school was the roommate of the guy who created that show. And so he is Beavis the one with the big forehead?
Yes. Well, yeah. Is that me?
He was the inspiration for the look of that character.
Oh,
I haven't watched it in ages though.
Yeah, it's all right. I just say that to get him to settle down a little bit. So question for you: we do beer, we do rock and roll, bourbon, so that. So tell us a little bit about your musical taste. We love to play with this a little bit. So what musical genre is your? Are we? Do we hit a sore play? Are you 50 or something? Like, what's the deal? So what's
we
Kate
like all
listening
music.
I'm a really, really notoriously bad about knowing artist names, song names, lyrics. I'm one of those people that just kind of like don't know anyone. I mean, that being said, not the biggest fan of country, although it is a lot of like my childhood because there's nothing to do in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so country concerts was a solid go-to. I don't know. I guess I'm like
So what genre would you like? So if you listen to music, do you listen genre? Do you like rock? Do you like pop? Do you like rap?
I mean, I like
all things?
Like pop, I guess.
Right.
Alternative. I know. I knew you guys were going to ask like a music question, and I was like, that one's going to stop me. I'm just terrible at it.
You know Def Leppard at least.
Yes.
There you go. That's all you need to do. You made him happy. Made him happy.
So if you had to just put something on the radio, you had to have owned a CD as a kid. Like, what did you buy? Like
New Kids on the Block.
Even if it's Backstreet or New Kids is a little old.
Oh, I mean, back in the day, Christina Aguilera was my jam.
There you go. I love it.
You know, lately, sometimes it's NF, sometimes it's Mac Miller, and it just kind of depends.
Did you like Alanis Morissette?
Oh Jesus! What are you doing? I think I look good. I look like I should be in the Alma Bar. I actually think I should be in the Alma band. Like
now you're see what you did, Todd.
I just made Kate joke. Oh God! Can we talk about this next?
Todd was also in a movie.
Oh, for Christ's sakes! Here we go. Jesus. He loves it, Kate.
All right, we're done. Okay, I'm done.
No, you're not. You're not done at all.
I'm done for now.
All right, let's get to the second. Let's back to the second offering. So let's talk about. We're moving up in proof. So is the only thing different between what we just had and this the proof, or is there something different? This is the Keepers of Irish American 110 proof.
You're dying.
I am.
You're not going to make it.
Sorry. There you go.
There you go.
Spoiler alert, I love this bottle.
Start drinking then, because your voice is gone.
Go
Actually,
ahead.
this is pretty good.
So tell us, is there anything different besides just a higher proof? Is the same sort of combination, just higher proof?
It's the same blend, just at a higher proof. And really kind of where this product was born was we started doing our cast finish program. And, you know, those releases are typically at 110 proof. And so when we would have, you know, retailers come in to pick a barrel, Brian would always ask for a sample of the Irish Plus American at 110 proof so that the retailer could really see the difference of what it is without a barrel finish versus what the barrel gives it. And we got such a strong, you know, positive feedback for this 110 proof that they're like, yeah, I want this finish, but I also want the 110.
Right.
And at the time I was just, you know, making it bottle by bottle. And so ultimately we decided to give the people what they asked for and bottle it at the higher strength as well.
So I think on this one, I get more of that sort of, so the rye spice certainly comes through. The cinnamon, the cloves, those baking spices, I get that a lot. Everything on that is just more pronounced. The honey's still there, the vanilla. I also get a little bit more of a chocolatey note to this. Is it? So it's still more of the Irish single malt, or just I guess single malt. Is it single malt? It's single malt, right? No, it's not.
No. So it's pot still. So it's 50% malted barley, 50% unmalted barley.
Barley.
But barley, yes.
Yeah, so I get a little bit of that chocolateness I didn't get in the first one, and it's just everything's just amped. And I know it's higher proof.
Well, but
I think it's more viscous. It's yeah.
I've said this before. Everyone has their personal preference. I think that range between 110 and 115 is like the perfect range for whiskey. Like almost all kinds of whiskey, because it's not so crazy high sometimes that it can mask deficiencies. And it's not so low that sometimes you're like, I wish it was just a little bit more bite and oomph to it. This is a really beautiful blend of marriage of both of them together. I really like
that Tootsie Roll.
Yeah. You do. He likes to relate things to candy.
I do. That's what I
so
taste.
So he's.
I love it.
He'd be your confectionery, but like he's.
It's not that it's
where
sweet.
Where the molecules like enter your brain is so close to where memories are stored that that's why we associate things with like experiences we've had or things that we've tried. So like I typically will always take it back to like some baked good because I love my sweets.
There we go.
Your chocolate, lots of sweets.
Yeah, true. Anthony's spitting out a bunch. He said unmalted barley adds creaminess, malted barley adds spice and flavor, or so I've heard. So I don't know. Kate can either confirm or deny that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Anthony is a smart man.
He's a smart man.
We'll see.
I will say, yeah. So so what's the price point? Do we know the price point on something like the 110? Is it I didn't see that. I don't know. I mean, I assume it's
I want to say that it's
I don't mean, but
it's more expensive, but
obviously, but probably not too much more. $50.
No, I think maybe 50.
Yeah.
407.
I think it's 45.
You know, I got a thing today from, I don't know, Steelbacks. It was a whiskey. It was something, I don't know what it was, but it was $899.
Did you get 3 of them?
Now, there is not a whiskey in the world. There's not that no whiskey is worth 500 or 800. That's ridiculous.
Oh, your camera's not going so.
Yeah, it's interesting. So,
dude, it's fine.
I think American whiskey is so much cheaper than international whiskey. I mean, if you look at like some scotches or some of the Irish whiskeys that Brian has produced, it's really expensive. Like I once had a conversation with Brian of like, Brian, what's the most expensive bottle you've ever produced?
Okay.
And he's like, oh, I think it went for, like $6,000 or something. I don't remember the exact number, but it was thousands of dollars.
Grand.
That's insane.
And I was like, man, I once donated a bottle at a charity auction that I signed, and it went for like $300, and that's the most expensive whiskey I've ever taken. So we're on 2 very different levels here.
That's
too
insanity.
funny.
I
That
mean,
is
you have to have some sort of just, who cares kind of money and income to be able
Agreed.
to throw away a $6,000 bottle.
Well, JH says you guys have online a bundle for $87, so you can get I think 2 for $87. God, that's a great. I mean, listen,
that's a great
how many
deal.
times we are buying whiskeys that are over $100, and wow, I love the price points.
Did you see?
No, what happened?
CJ, in my best Casey Kasem voice, this song goes out to our friend Todd. Maryland's name Todd till Tuesday with Voices Carry.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
struggling a little bit there.
We've said that a few times tonight, Andy. I think everybody knows that.
It's all right. No,
I'm still here. Unlike
I
you,
think
you're probably home with like honey and tea. I can't talk. So
I take care of my instrument.
Is that right?
That's.
I went to a NASCAR race and I had a
do.
cold, and it was a perfect combination. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. A little fella.
All right, look.
All right, hey, quick question for you. Let's go back to something off the cuff.
It's on sale for $35. I need to go where Dave is. Jeez Louise.
So, Kate, Keeper's Heart's gotten so big. I mean, it's just blown up that they decide they're going to do a movie about Keeper's Heart, and someone has to play Kate Douglas in the movie. Who is the actress you're choosing to play you in that movie?
Oh, man. So I always answer this question, Kate.
Todd's is easy. Todd's is either like Scott Van Pelt or like Moby or the guy from Smashing Pumpkins. Like, but
not Bruce Willis.
You wish it was Bruce.
I keep going back to Bruce Willis.
No, you Bruce Willis, and not in your wildest dreams.
Come on.
So who's playing Kate in the movie? You get to pick. You get to cast your own actress. Like, who's it going to be?
Oh man. Probably. I'm gonna go with Jennifer Lawrence.
Nice.
I like that.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Who would play you, Andy?
Yeah.
Katniss Everdeen from.
What?
That's from Hunger Games.
Yes. No. What the heck?
That's my best. That was my best Hunger Games.
It
did not go.
Joke. I would be Caillou. I'd be Caillou.
Yeah, you could be Caillou. You could definitely do Caillou.
God Lord.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, so now we've talked about 2 of the 3. We're going to move on to this all sort of ride. Now we're going to the bourbon.
I love this, by the way. People,
I do too. Put that up there.
Grab this puppy. This is legit good.
That's the wrong bottle, friend. That's the 110.
I know, but no, he loves
this.
That.
Is the one.
Okay.
I love this one.
Yes, but that's good.
I love this one too, but we haven't gotten there. Yeah. I love the 110. All right, let's do the Irish bourbon. Yeah.
So tell us. So now we're blending bourbon. So is this?
Now we're blending bourbon. So this is the product of probably one of my all-time favorite days of my career. Because it was myself, Brian Nation, and our liquid collaborator David Perkins, who started High West.
Nice.
And we were,
Amazing.
all sitting in the lab, being super nerdy with our beakers and graduated cylinders and tasting a bunch of different bourbons, because there's a lot of variations with bourbon. It could have been a wheated bourbon, a rye bourbon, a lot of options. And we're just sitting there tinkering. And this one, is really supposed to be for the bourbon drinkers. It is more of bourbon being that backbone, the pot still being the accent, with the nuance of the Irish grain whiskey. But we found the right bourbon. We did 21% rye, and it really, I just think, is absolutely beautiful. It kind of goes back to more of what I had done earlier in my career with working with Greg and blending bourbon and wheated bourbon and ryes, and I'm really happy with this one.
Here's the interesting thing. I know there's more in the other 2. We had more, I guess, raw American than, or no, what was the blend in the first? So
there's
2?
More
Irish than.
Yeah, there's more Irish in this one.
So I love on this
bourbon.
one, I get way more Tootsie Roll, way more dark chocolate on the finish here with this one, which is interesting to me. I get like a caramel cream. I have it as one. I love that too. The baking spices come through. I mean, as well. I mean, it's just maybe I like the Tootsie Roll definitely.
You're like a little Debbie.
So I don't know. I'd have to. These are really, really good. And if you can find this, somebody said they got it for $35 or $45. That's a freaking steal.
This is beautiful. Okay. I want to introduce you to a friend of ours.
Oh,
Kate,
cool.
Because she is a guru with Irish whiskey. She knows it
Stacey.
inside and out. She's much better than Todd and I.
No doubt about it.
So we want to introduce you, make connections. This is Stacey from Foley. Stacey, say hello.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi. Hey, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Stacey's our
what whiskey
resident
are you drinking?
Irish whiskey.
Like a
So
finish.
I poured probably one of my favorite Keeper's Heart, the Irish American finished in the Virgin Oak cask.
Hold on. Keep that up.
Oh.
Ironically enough, for Andy Slicker.
See that?
That's
Kate,
awesome.
you're gonna have to send us a lot more stuff now because Stacey has a lot of stuff.
Well,
I have 4 bottles and a cask share.
I'm just saying.
Wow. Awesome. Look, everybody says Stacey.
Everybody's giving love to Stacey. She's awesome.
No doubt about it. So Stacey, Kate, Stacey, we have to get you guys together for your show, Stacey, right? We have to have this happen. This has to happen. We're making things happen. So hopefully you'll be on Stacey's show. But what's your thoughts on Keep? Not that, I mean, I know Kate's here, but what do you think of Keeper's Hearts? I mean, the whole idea of blending the two together.
I really like the idea. Honestly, it hadn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
O'Shaughnessy and Bryan Nation came in and it just hadn't been done. They were doing something completely innovative. And it's a great buy for the money. I think it's a great product. Their pricing is great. We were really shocked in the Irish whiskey world when they brought over Bryan Nation. Cause like I told you, if you have a bottle of Middleton Very Rare from 2020 or, 13 years prior, that's Bryan Nation's name on the bottle.
Bryan Nation.
We were shocked that he was going to Minnesota to O'Shaughnessy. And then, they got Kate. And then we found out they got Jer Garland as their brand ambassador, who was with Middleton and ITL. So it's like, okay, they came to play.
Yeah.
They're not kidding around. They're all in. So we're really excited to kind of see what comes next with them.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it really is a who's who in the whiskey world. You guys,
big time.
Just some cherry picking and pulled them into Minnesota because everyone wants to move to Minnesota.
You probably would want to move to Minnesota.
I heard Brian's stories about when he first got there because it was right before the pandemic and the winters in Minnesota.
Well, it was right before the pandemic. It was right during George Floyd stuff. So like the day that they, decided on the actual mash bill, the recipe, there was a curfew. And so they all met at a hotel and just had everyone stay the night because no one would be able to leave. And Brian had to leave the next morning, but curfew was at 7:00. So they all went to the hotel, decided on the recipe, and Brian was able to go home afterwards. But it was a crazy time in Minnesota.
See, you hear Brian, to talk to Brian, he skims over that. He skims over the whole pandemic. All he talks about is how cold it was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's his first winter in Minnesota.
So let me ask you this, Stacey, as a Irish whiskey drinker, as an Irish whiskey drinker, and we're more bourbon or American whiskey drinkers. When you're blending these two together, and you kind of, we always come to you for our Irish whiskey questions, but is this something that you can see catching on in the American market, right? Is this going to expose people more to Irish whiskey, you think, or the other way around, Irish to American whiskey?
I kind of think it will. And especially because like the Irish and rye, I think it's a natural progression to like the Powers rye that just came out.
Right.
Because it's also, it's a softer rye. And Irish rye does tend to be a little softer. It's not like American rye. But I think it is a nice transition between the two. And I love the Irish and rye because you do get those pot still spices on there. But what really surprised me is the Irish and bourbon. That's really good. Yeah. It really is.
Right?
This is done really well.
Yeah, I think that one is good for Irish drinkers that aren't necessarily that are starting into bourbon.
That's you. That was you.
Kate, we pulled Stacey in. We were talking about pulling her into the bourbon side because she was trying to pull us into the Irish. Like this collaboration is really kind of fun, and I think.
And then Keeper's Heart was born.
Hey, look, I instantly became a fan, and we've had a lot of Irish whiskey, and I can tell you this is
I have not.
You have not. This is really good. This is excellent, and so.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it, and I think the Irish bourbon cask and the standard Irish American just won double gold at the San Francisco International Spirits Competition, which was announced today. So
Congratulations
at
to
least
that. That's
I'm not the only one who likes it. You all like it. They liked it.
The
So.
single malt's really good too. The 10-year Malaga. That's really good too.
This
So,
one is amazing.
okay. Showing off now. Kate, so let me ask you this. Before you got to Keeper's Heart, were you more of a, were you into Irish whiskey? Was that like were you a fan? I mean, I'm curious.
No, I was not in Irish whiskey. I mean, I had my, being 21 Jameson and ginger days.
Right.
And I think even when I first got into the industry and when I was getting interviewed, they're like, well, what whiskey do you drink? I was like, I don't know, Jameson. But I really fell in love with bourbon, wheated bourbon, rye whiskey. And that's kind of, where my career took me up until Keeper's Heart. But having the opportunity to learn from Brian, both, triple pot distillation, some of his blending knowledge, it was as much shit as I gave Chris for leaving Colorado to go to Minnesota. I ended up following him just a couple of years later. So.
Yeah. And Gandy asked a good question. I think the answer is no. You guys are blender. You're blending whiskey. I assume you don't do single barrels of stuff, right? Because you're blending two together, correct? How's that work?
So we will do single barrel finishes.
Single barrel.
So like Sticky has, Keeper's Heart that was then finished in a virgin oak barrel.
Right. So you're saying then
you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance that 21090 could eventually one day pull Stacy up to Minnesota and we could all do a single barrel pick for our patrons. What do you think?
We have
the maple
syrup
cask is really good too.
Oh,
we have a lot of really fun ones. We've done, that maple syrup is absolutely beautiful. The Madeira casks, which turned out great. We've got, local ice cider barrels.
You guys did the stout one, right?
We've done stout. I mean, Surly is right next door to us.
Give me the stout all day long. Oh my God,
and so we've got, Surly Darkness barrel finishes. And, the first release of that, we did it at like 3 months. Then we did a release last year at the distillery, at least was, I think, 11 months. We'll likely be doing one in October or, sometime this fall that has been in there for 2 years. And it's really cool seeing the evolution of how it changes. Like at the beginning, you get a lot of coffee notes from that darkness, but then once it's been in there longer, that coffee note, that bitterness changes into this really delicious chocolate. So we've done red wine, we've done
I like that.
all sorts of finishes.
Could you see doing kind of like a pack where you got like a bottle of the beer and then the bottle of the whiskey that was finished in the beer cask?
Yeah, so we've talked. I mean, it's hard with Minnesota liquor laws.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wondered if that was the hiccup.
I mean, we would have to do it off premise.
Yeah.
So like in liquor stores, because Surly is not allowed to have whiskey. We're not allowed to have beer. So it'll probably be hard, but we do try. I mean, sometimes when we do a release at the distillery, we'll get a special like catering license so that we can bring the beer in. I'm doing an ice cider release with a grocery store, I think next week or within the next couple of weeks, where we partner with the cidery that we finished the whiskey in. So we'll do, the whiskey before the barrel, the cider, then the whiskey after the cider barrel. So
Kate, do you have a lot of groups coming to you guys to do single barrels of these finishes? Like we have a couple of our patrons. William Hall saying that he had a store pick that was finished in a stout from Keeper's Heart, and it was actually so sweet, so smooth. He loved it. So, like, is your single barrel program growing? Are you doing more of those? Because I haven't seen one.
Yeah, it is growing. I mean, I don't think we actually distribute to Maryland, so you may not have seen it.
We have our ways.
We have our ways.
You don't distribute to Ohio either.
DC.
I have several.
We have plenty of people that can do that for us. Shared point. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a popular program for us. And I mean, I know that we've sent them out to, Colorado and to Florida, North Carolina, Missouri,
Talk to you about that.
I want to give you a little chat there,
Yeah,
Kate.
Kate
Just
wanted to chat
because
offline about
we like
that.
some things that are a little bit different, and off the
Yes.
cuff.
Totally.
And so,
Real
yes,
quick.
we can do that.
Anthony had a question. He's the star of the night with the questions. Is Keeper's
Right?
Heart thinking of doing an American malt or an Irish whiskey blend?
An Irish whiskey blend. Ooh.
American malt.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Potentially, yeah.
There you go.
Depending on how it tastes together, the single malts, the American single malt that we're producing at the distillery is going into, virgin oak, and so it is going to give you a different flavor profile. But I want it, I'm probably going to try everything at least once. So I wouldn't put it past us.
That's really cool. I gotta say, I've been madly impressed by these.
Yeah, I know, right? We drank a little bit too much. I'm gonna
actually, I had more than I thought I was going to.
I'm gonna go to my favorite tonight. Let's end the stream tonight with what our favorite.
Well, before we do that, real quick. So Stacey, I don't know if you saw or not, but Todd, if there was a movie, would be played by Moby or by someone else.
What? What?
And Kate is going to be played by Jennifer Lawrence, which I think is great. So if you're in the movie, who's playing Stacey from Four Leaf? Who's the actress playing you?
Man, Andy, you put.
I'm just asking. Yeah, we want to make this movie.
Go with Winona Ryder because I love her in Stranger Things.
There you go. Oh,
yes. He's a great.
Well done. Well done.
She's great in like everything she does.
Yeah.
I love that.
So is Stacey. That's the great thing about
That's
that.
fantastic. It's gonna be a good movie, by the way.
So I have a question for Kate though,
Hmm?
and you didn't ask this yet, which I'm surprised.
Okay.
So you cannot drink any. You're at a bar, and there's no Keeper's Heart for whatever reason. There just isn't. You're in a state that's not. And there's a bunch of other whiskeys. What are you going like? What is your other choice of whiskey to drink besides Keeper's Heart? Is the question basically.
Am I paying for it or is someone else paying for it?
I'm paying for it.
Andy is. So yeah, go with Blue Sky.
If price point was not an issue, I am a sucker for Sazerac 18 rye.
Oh, Andy.
Oh, damn.
There you go.
It's really good.
Sazerac 18. You're a rye girl. I like that. I love that.
Yeah, that one. I just think it's so unique from your standard rye that it's really a pleasure to drink.
That's awesome.
If I'm paying for it, if I'm being responsible. So
now Todd, go. Todd's paying for it now.
No, all right.
Now, what are you buying?
Russell's Reserve is always a solid one for me. Okay. New Riff has some really great stuff. Makers is, so widely available that most places have it. So that's a common go-to as well.
There you go.
Makers, have you had have you had their P90X yet? Have you tried that?
Jesus, oh no!
She probably has.
Yeah.
I don't know if you tried it. Just see if you tried.
Excellent. Okay, what you guys are all waiting for tonight on our live stream, our members only giveaway is something very special. We are giving away our top 5 whiskeys of 2020 to a lucky winner. Those are going to be the Knob Creek 12-year Select, the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Ride, the Rare Breed Masters Tier 17, the Old Crow Double Barrel 47, and then the Maker's Mark's P90X. All absolutely amazing bourbons that you can't find easily that Andy has. One lucky member will get it. So we can't wait to see you tonight, 8:30 p.m. And we'll have some fun. Cheers. I'm at the beach. That's where the live stream will be.
That's marvelous.
So, the backstory on that, as you can tell, I didn't know my whiskey in 2020. Andy did, and I said, Andy, for our live stream, what are our top whiskeys of the year that you liked? This is 4 years ago now, and Andy sent me like a gibberish that he didn't think I would go online.
I never thought he'd actually read P90X's great face,
and you know what?
And he read it. He read it.
I did,
and I was like, "Damn, Burgundy! I'm Ron Burgundy."
I really did. I really did. I can't believe I didn't see P90X. Like, hold on, wait a second. That can't be right. Double barrel 47-year-old whiskey.
Old Crow Double Barrel 47. That was literally one of the happiest moments of my life. No. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Thank you, Candy. Yeah, he's doing me wrong. That's all right. That's okay. That's Hey, my mom's here.
Your
Hey,
mom is here.
Good
There you
mom.
go.
Hey, mom. How
Hi,
are you?
Mom.
You know what? And here's the thing.
That's right.
I know that his voice sounds a little scratchy,
Oh,
but
God.
he actually is a good singer.
Enough.
One more.
Jesus.
He's a good singer. Let's just do
My
it.
God.
Take a bottle, shake it up. I'm not doing that all. I'm not. You're gonna put that in. I'm stopping before you do that.
Oh my God, I love it. You all have so much fun. It's fantastic.
It's whiskey. Exactly. See, I like it. Thank you.
Should be like that channel wasn't very good, but they had a good time. I gotta tell you, they had a good time.
We've known each other for 42 years. We were, so listen, he's like my brother, so it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Marvelous.
We have fun. We do. But it's good to meet good people.
Yes,
Look, we met Stacy through this channel and has been a resident guru for everything Irish whiskey. And we've met so many cool people like Greg Metz and all who've come on. So to kind of hang out with you tonight, Kate, has been an honor, and it's been great to get to know.
Guys, hope you enjoyed that.
And honestly, I hope you all take us to heart here. It's really good. Been really good. This is good juice, and at a good price point. Like, you don't find those two combined everywhere these days. You really don't. So,
what was your favorite tonight?
It's the 110. The 110 was the winner for me. I just thought that was, I really like the.
You did. I think you actually like that better for the value.
I love this for the value. I think it's one of the best value pours you can get.
I mean, you talk
really,
about
really
under 90 proof whiskeys. That's it right there, man.
Yeah, that's really good. Beats he thought Joel Elliott was in the house. Look how good that's how good you were, man.
There you go.
That's how good your voice was.
What's next, though, for Kate Keeper's Heart? Thinking in 2024, we're already, almost halfway through it now. But anything on the horizon that we should look forward to that you guys are putting out that's maybe different from what we've talked about tonight?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned this on Marnie's channel too, but there's we've got a 21-year-old Irish single malt finished in Tokai casks, which Stacey, I think you told me was only the third Irish whiskey finished in Tokai that you know of.
Yeah, that's only the third one.
So that's pretty cool.
Very cool, Stu.
This is very cool.
We've got some really fun releases at the distillery this year. This summer, we'll be doing Keeper's Heart finished in Angelica wine, which is this sweet American dessert port almost.
Wow.
Which is really beautiful. And then this fall, another Darkness release. So, always swing by the distillery. We've got some really fun stuff. We did an orange sherry release earlier this year that was, honest to God, amazing. So Kate, come see us.
I wonder if you know two guys from Baltimore that might be willing to review some of those for you. Not naming any names. Well, Stacy too, but Stacy's so good that sometimes you need the layperson to be able to relay the message.
It's true.
I think we can arrange something.
There you go. I love it. No, this has been great. And actually, I will be out in Minnesota again.
Look at this. Everybody's saying a 21-year-old Tokai.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, and the other two Tokai finishes aren't nearly that old because it was Dublin Liberty's Murder Lane. That's only 13 year. And then the two stocks finished in Tokai. And that was only, I think, 9 years old. So that none of them
is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
Oh, Jesus.
It's wild.
When's that coming out?
We're still waiting on some packaging stuff. Okay. So give me 3 months maybe.
When it does, Todd needs something for a hot toddy. So if you can,
I will not use that for hot toddy. I will drink that on its own.
It looks like I'm gonna have to call my Minnesota friend to make a trip. That for me.
And come see us because the tours are fantastic. The blending class is super cool. There's you finish every tour with a component tasting, so you get to try the Irish grain by itself, the Irish pot still by itself, the American rye by itself, and really understand the blending process, which is cool.
Yeah, are those distillery releases or any hints on where they plan to go? Are they going to be distributed, or is it just going to be distillery?
The 21 will be distributed.
Okay.
The Angelica is a single barrel for us, although I think we've had a couple that went out into market. The single barrel finishes, there's a lot and they're all over. We had one Irish bourbon finish in Tokai that went to Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow.
So and that one was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. So like there's a lot of really cool stuff that we're coming out with.
That makes me now want to go to Minnesota and do a distillery tour. So that sounds like fun.
Love
The
it.
whiskey, it'll lure you in.
Yeah, right.
Hey, are you a wine drinker, by the way?
I am, yeah.
How about you, Stacey? You a wine drinker? Do you like wine?
Yeah.
All right, we're doing a wine night soon.
We are.
I finally pushed Todd. Like
I'm in trouble.
I
I'm in big
love
trouble.
wine too. I'm a huge wine. I'm Italian, so you know I love wine. So
Is there Irish wine?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the answer is very.
I don't remember seeing wine in Ireland. I'm sure there was.
I mean, there might be some ice
Someone
wine.
in
There's
the
some
chat
mead.
earlier.
There's a couple
Someone in the
meaderies.
chat earlier was saying something about Irish wineries.
Really?
There's a couple. I mean, there's Penfield and Bunratty make mead.
You're not going to pay top dollar for Irish wine. The climate just doesn't lend.
Yeah.
to it.
Cheers, brother.
But yeah, so what wine do you like, Kate? And then Stacey will ask you, just out of curiosity.
I'm a big, Cabernet fan.
Look at this. Everybody wants the. Everybody's excited about the wine.
People
night.
are excited about the wine night. I
We
told
are
you it's going to be
totally
fun.
doing
We're doing it. Damn it, I love wine, and I'm going to do it.
My go-to is just the decoy Cabernet.
No, I'm bougie. I like the Amarone.
Ooh.
Stacey. You touching right there? I love
Look at this guy.
Amarone is
Look at
like
this
my
guy.
favorite Italian
Look
wine.
at
I love that. Corvina, Rondinella, the whole Vella Pellicella. Oh, we're
Vino-
gonna do that. We're gonna do that. It's gonna be
Is that
fun.
BDM finished?
No, that's Spanish.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Well, we're talking about Italian wine.
Oh, okay.
You gotta stay with the program.
I don't
here.
know what's going on here.
Whatever. You know what? We hope you enjoyed yourself tonight, Kate.
Not
this
yet.
wasn't so
I haven't got
dreadful.
it yet. Mark. I haven't got it.
But we absolutely had a blast having you on
Yes.
tonight. This has been
Awesome.
totally fun. We've had a great time.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You are welcome back anytime. We'll probably be in touch because there is honestly, there's a chance I travel so much. This goes on for a while, this clapping.
Thank you.
There we go. But yeah, we'd love to come up and do a little tour, and we could even do a video up there.
Let's go.
But honestly,
Absolutely.
overall, this
Yeah,
fantastic.
Great job.
And we wouldn't just say that just because we had John. We've had on people before that they were lovely people, but the juice was like, we're like, hey, thank you. We'll talk to
And
you
we've
soon.
never talked about them again.
This is fantastic. You guys are doing
Really good.
a great job.
Great stuff. Great price point. And I can't wait to see what you guys do.
So, and then stay tuned for the movie. Jennifer Lawrence as Kate.
That's right.
Middleton. Yeah, that'll be
Anthony
great.
Santander.
Anthony Santander, I'll take it as me. And then Winona Ryder as Stacey.
Let's
This
do
is
it.
a hell of a
Heck
good
of a show.
movie. I love it. This will be good.
Guys, next week we'll have the Turks on from Drifting Drams doing coffee. We're doing coffee next week. We have a coffee stream.
It makes some good coffee.
We're doing coffee.
I
next
love
week.
coffee so much too.
Wow.
This is crazy.
Co-
I can't
coffee,
stand
and
coffee. You all have fun with that.
they're big whiskey people too, so they have a barrel
I tell
aged.
you, it's good stuff.
That's right.
What do we want to bring people out with, Todd? Do you want to pick your Toddism tonight?
And it doesn't matter what I say. You're gonna pick whatever you want. So let's go, Kate. You're the best. Thank you so much for exposing our audience to Keeper's Heart. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We certainly did. Let's go out and buy this, and you will not be disappointed. What do we have going up?
Well, actually, I'm just gonna play this and then we'll come back. Hold on.
Oh,
Because my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. They're like, it's better than yours, damn right. It's better than yours.
it likes making me a what?
Now we'll go out. Now we'll go out.
Jesus. All right, guys.
Kate hadn't seen that before. It's one of your best.
How many times have you seen it?
Beautiful. I love it.
Thank you, Kate.
See, I don't know why you get so upset about
All
this. It's
God.
fine. Now I feel bad. I will play something.
Bad from you.
No, this is
You don't have that. That's why.
because you don't know how to edit. I do these things for you. All right, but Todd is cool. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
We will see you all
next Tuesday.
soon.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Yeah. Hey,
Cheers.
cheers.
I need some more. I'm out. I'm out.
You are. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Whoa, Todd's even cooler than we thought.